Let me tell you something that almost nobody has bothered to explain to you properly. Right now, in 2026, there are three separate pieces of good news for American seniors. Three different pots of money with your name on them. And most people watching this will walk right past all three. Not because they don't qualify, but because nobody ever told them these existed. After months of headlines about cuts and freezes and everything at the store costing more, I want to do the opposite today. I want to hand you three ways to put money back in your pocket. One of them can wipe out a bill you are paying right now straight out of your Social Security check. One of them can take a big bite out of the heating and cooling bill that punishes you twice a year. And the third is an entire second check every single month that a huge number of seniors are convinced they're not allowed to get, and they are flat wrong. Study after study finds that roughly 1 in 3 older Americans who qualify for these benefits never claim a single dollar. That is money sitting there that belongs to you. So stay with me because I'm going to walk you through exactly what these three are, who really qualifies, the one income mistake that makes people count themselves out when they shouldn't, and exactly how to claim each one. Here's how this is going to go. I'll take them one at a time in plain English, no jargon. For each one, I'll tell you what it is, who actually qualifies, and I mean the real income numbers for this year, not some vague low income, and the exact way to claim it. I'll also stop and warn you about a scam that follows this kind of money around like a shadow. Because the moment there's a benefit seniors can claim, there's someone on the phone trying to steal it. And I'm saving the biggest one for last. So stick with me all the way through. Most of all, pay close attention when I get to the income part, because that is where thousands of people wrongly decide they earn too much and hang up on money that was theirs to take. My name is Walter Barron. I've spent more than 15 years as an estate attorney, sitting across the kitchen table from families and going through the fine print of these programs line by line. I'm not selling you anything today. I don't work for the government, and I don't make a dime whether you claim these or not. I just read the rules so you don't have to, and I tell you in plain words what they actually mean for your money. And before I start, one thing. I don't care if you're 62 or 92, and I don't care if you're sure you make too much. Watch all three of these before you decide any of them isn't for you, because the people who assume they don't qualify are exactly the ones leaving the most on the table. Now let me answer the question I can already feel some of you asking. If this is real, why has no one ever told me? It's a fair question, and the answer is the same frustrating reason for all three. These programs pay out what you apply for. There is no person whose job it is to look at your situation, pick up the phone and say, based on your income, you qualify for this. Let me get you signed up. That person does not exist. The benefits sit under confusing names behind applications most people never see, and the folks who need the most, older Americans on a fixed income, are exactly the ones least likely to go digging through a government website to find them, so they just sit there unclaimed year after year. Today, we fix that. So here's the first piece of good news, and it's one you can start on this week. If you're on Medicare, you are almost certainly paying a premium for Part B. That's the part that covers your doctor visits, and it comes straight out of your Social Security check before you ever lay eyes on it. In 2026, that premium is a little over $200 a month. Read that again. That's more than $2,400 a year, pulled quietly out of your check month after month. Now, here is the good news. There is a program. It's called a Medicare Savings Program where your state will pay that premium for you. Not lower it, pay it, which means those $200 some a month stop coming out of your Social Security and your monthly check goes up by that amount. For a lot of seniors, that is the single biggest raise they will get all year. And it doesn't come from Congress, and it doesn't come from a cost of living adjustment. It comes from a program almost nobody bothers to apply for, and it can reach further than just the premium. There are actually a few versions of this program. The most generous one for the lowest incomes doesn't just pay your Part B premium. It also wipes out your Medicare deductibles and your copays. So those surprise bills after a doctor visit stop landing in your mailbox entirely. The other versions for slightly higher incomes cover the premium itself, but every single version of it puts real money back in your pocket. Now, who qualifies? And this is where I need you to stay with me, because this is exactly where people count themselves out and hang up on their own money. This is based on your income, and the limits are higher than most people guess. For 2026, depending on which version you're looking at, a single person can have a monthly income up to somewhere around $1,800 and still qualify to have that Part B premium paid. And for a married couple, the line is higher still, up into the 2,400s a month. So before you wave this off and say, I make too much, actually go check, because a great many people who are dead, sure, they earn too much land right inside that window. Do not disqualify yourself in your own head at the kitchen table. Let the application do the math. Let me put a face on it, because the numbers don't land until you picture a person. Think of a widow. I'll call her Margaret. Margaret is 73. She gets a modest Social Security check. And like clockwork, every month, a little over $200 of it vanishes for her Medicare Part B before the money ever reaches her bank. Margaret always assumed those programs were for other people, poorer people, not her. But when someone finally sat down and ran her actual numbers, she was under the line. Her state took over that premium. And just like that, her Social Security check was $200 bigger every month, around $2,500 more a year in her pocket. And nothing about Margaret changed, except that somebody finally showed her the door was open. Most people never get that somebody. How do you claim it? You apply through your state's Medicaid office or post a pod, and this is the easy button, hover. You get free help from your local state health insurance assistance program. People call it SHIP. They will walk you through it, and it costs you nothing. It is free to apply, and you never ever pay anyone a fee to sign up for this. And when you make that call, you do not need to be an expert or have every scrap of paperwork memorized. You just say in plain words, I'm on Medicare, I'm on a fixed income, and I want to know if I qualify to have my Part B premium paid. That one sentence is enough to get the ball rolling. They'll ask you a little about your monthly income and walk you through the rest. You don't have to know the name of the exact program or which version you fit into. That is their job. Your only job is to raise your hand and ask the question. The people who get this money are simply the ones who made the call. And that brings me to the warning I promised, because this is exactly the kind of money the scammers love. Here's how it works. The moment word gets out about a benefit like this, the phone calls start. Someone calls, sounds official, says they're from Medicare or Social Security, and tells you they can get your premium refunded or your new benefit started today. They just need to confirm your bank account or your Social Security number or your Medicare number. Stop. Hang up. Medicare and Social Security do not call you out of the blue and ask for that information to hand you money. They don't. If someone on the phone is rushing you and asking for your bank details to release a benefit, that is a thief, not the government. You go to the source yourself, your state office or SHIP, and you never give your numbers to whoever called you. All right, that's the first one. Let me give you the second, because this one hits a bill that I know keeps some of you up at night. Your energy bill. There is a federal program run through your state called the Low-Income Home Energy Assistance Program. Most people have never heard of it, and the ones who have assumed it couldn't possibly be for them. It helps you pay your heating and cooling bills. And depending on your household, your income, and where you live, it can put anywhere from a couple hundred up to around $1,000 toward that bill, usually paid straight to your utility company, so you never have to touch the money at all. Now, here's the part most people miss, and it's a big one. When they hear heating assistance, they picture the debt of winter and nothing else. But this program covers cooling too. The air conditioning that for an older person in the heat of summer is not a luxury. It's a safety issue. And there's usually a crisis piece on top of that. If you've gotten a shut-off notice, or your furnace or your air conditioner has quit on you, there are emergency funds specifically for exactly that. And here's the relief in it. Claiming this does not reduce your Social Security. It does not count as income against you, and it doesn't take a thing away from anybody else who needs help. I do have to be straight with you about one thing, and it's the reason I'm telling you now instead of 6 months from now. The money for this program is limited, and when a state's funding for the year runs dry, that's it until it gets refilled. States hand it out first to the households they consider most vulnerable, and older Americans on a fixed income are usually right at the top of that list. But you have to actually be in line. The application season is open right now through the spring. So do not put this one off until the cold sets in and the money's already gone. Picture a retired couple living on his pension and both their Social Security checks, watching the gas bill climb every winter and rationing the heat to make it work. They'd never applied for a thing in their lives, and they weren't about to start, figured it was charity, figured it wasn't for people like them. One phone call later, a few $100s went straight to their utility. The crisis fund fixed the furnace that had been limping along for 2 winters, and the cold months stopped being something they dreaded. That help was sitting there the whole time. They just had to ask for it. How do you claim it? You contact your local energy assistance office. Every state has one. Or do the simplest thing in the world and dial 211. In most of the country, that's a free helpline that will point you straight to the office that handles this where you live. Free to apply. And once again, nobody legitimate ever charges you a fee to sign up. Okay, here's the third one. And honestly, for the right person, this is the biggest of all three because it isn't a discount or a bill being covered. It is an entire second check. It's called Supplemental Security Income, SSI for short. And I need you to hold 2 ideas apart in your head because this is exactly where people get it wrong. There's Social Security, the retirement check you earned by working all those years, and then there's SSI, which is a completely separate federal check for people who are 65 or older or disabled and who are living on a low income with limited savings. And here is the mistake that costs people the most. Most folks assume that because they already get a Social Security check, they can't possibly get this one too. That is simply not true. If your Social Security check is small, you can very often receive SSI on top of it to lift you up. One does not automatically cancel out the other. For 2026, this went up. There was a cost of living increase at the very end of last year, and the most a single person can receive from SSI is now about $994 a month. And for a couple, it's just under $1,500. Now, if you already have some Social Security coming in, your SSI is usually reduced by part of that. So you might not get the full amount, but reduced is not nothing. A partial SSI check every single month for a senior on a tight fixed income can be the difference between the month working and the month not working. Over a year, even a partial check adds up to thousands of dollars you are not getting right now. And here's where people count themselves out again, so let me ease it. It's true this looks at your resources, your savings, but the home you live in does not count. And your car generally does not count, so do not look at the house you own and decide you're disqualified before you even ask. This benefit was built for exactly the person who worked their whole life, gets a modest Social Security check, and is quietly coming up a little short every single month.